Hey guys, this is Brett McGowan, head of Mythoverse Community Outreach, PR, and writer-creator of Changeling and Urban Fairy Tale. And today I'm going to be doing something I haven't really done in a long time, which is a review. In fact, you guys probably don't know, likely will not know this, but I actually got my start on YouTube doing anime reviews like over a decade ago. You're not going to find those videos because I nuked them. Not because they were bad or anything, but mostly just because when I nuked them, I was sort of saying goodbye to that period of my life and didn't think I was ever going to come back to YouTube in any meaningful way. Yeah. But that's not. But that's not important. What is important is this manga I want to talk about. It's called Dogs, Bolts, and Carnage. And the story behind how I discovered this manga is actually pretty interesting. So, around that time, I was also reviewing anime. I also had a DeviantArt that I was using a lot. And it's not the same DeviantArt that I'm using now, which is basically a Changeling promotional account that I haven't really touched. But that on that DeviantArt, I would sort of one thing I did a lot of was I would just pick a random thing and just scroll through it looking for fan art I might have liked. And I think one time I was looking up fan art for the Spider-Man villain Carnage, and fan art for this manga popped up. No, seriously, that was how I found it. I found it looking for Carnage fan art on DeviantArt. It just kept popping up, and I said, Dogs, Wells, and Carnage. Okay, I want to check this out. So you're probably thinking, you found the manga after that. Not quite. Nope. I found an anime prequel, which is actually an adaptation of a manga prequel. I think I'm not 100% sure on that one. So the anime that I discovered was called Stray Dogs Howling in the Dark. It's just 4 OVAs, each 15 minutes apiece, and it talks about the 4 main characters of this manga. So now I'd say like there's 4 main characters, but really only 3 of them actually matter. The 4 main characters are Hein Ram Steiner. I'm not kidding, that is actually his name. He is, I guess the best way to describe him is he's a handyman. He's sort of a guy who will, if you have a problem, he'll show up to fix it. And as you can probably guess, when they say fix a problem, his involve possibly killing people. He sort of falls in that stereotypical manga protagonist where he's brooding, he's aloof, he's tortured. And this is going to be something that becomes a running theme throughout the manga, is that it plays a lot with stereotypes. But trust me when I say this manga is totally awesome. Second protagonist is Bado Nails. I'll give you 3 guesses where he gets that name from. Bado is a private investigator who is trying to look up information about his missing brother. And he's also Hein's, well, for lack of a better term, best friend. Third protagonist is Naoto Fuyumine. She's a delivered girl / assassin who's missing like a whole chunk of her memory. She can't remember anything past the day she met her parents' killer. And she's trying to find answers. Fourth protagonist is a former mafia hitman named Mihai. I forget what his last name was. But all you got to really know is that Mihai kind of has the least impact on the narrative, and pretty much his whole arc was settled in the original Stray Dog story that was written for him, which I'll probably go into in another video, because I don't want to drag this on too much. Now, like I said, a running theme in this manga is that it plays a lot with stereotypes. Now, if that doesn't work for you, then this manga is not gonna, well, it's not gonna be something you'll probably like. But if there was one thing I did take away from this manga, it's and it has to do with the style versus substance argument. This is something that you're gonna come into contact with if you're part of any fandom, the argument of style versus substance. And 9 times out of 10, if you hear the phrase, it's style over substance, it's going to be used as a pejorative. In Dog's case, it's that 1 out of 10 where it's actually, I would say probably its strength. Because the big takeaway that I took from rereading Dogs, Bolts, and Carnage, because I actually bought this manga years ago, the big takeaway I took from rereading this is that if you're going to do style over substance, then you have to be very stylish. Like, you got to execute it with such style that people are not going to care whether or not there's not a lot of meat to chew on, substance speaking. Because when you get right down to it, it's basically the plot to any revenge action movie. Because the thing that kind of unites Hein, Bato, and Naoto is that their pasts are all in one way or another connected to the underground of the city they live in. And they are all searching for something that's down there. With Hein, he's got a lot of stuff in his past that he is trying to make peace with, and he is going to leave a trail of bodies behind if that's what it takes. In fact, I would probably say out of the four, I guess I did like Hein the most. That probably goes without saying, but I did like all 4 characters. Even though I think Mihai's probably the weakest, he's still pretty good. Kind of brings sort of that world-weary old man sort of vibe to the story. But the thing I want to kind of show off is just, this is what I mean by when I say that this is showing that if you're going to go style over substance, then you have to be absolutely stylish, because there is just nothing but style in this artwork. There's not one image that doesn't look at least aesthetically pleasing. Like, you would be hard pressed to find like a bad image in this at all. Like, if I'm rereading this, I couldn't find anything that looked really all that awful art-wise. I don't want to go too far because that would really feel like I'm spoiling. But yeah, there's just really good art in this manga. Like, really interesting character designs. Everyone's very distinct. Everyone's very expressive. A lot of good action. A lot of good gesture work. And there's even moments where, and this girl right here, I forget what her name was. She's a mute, I remember that much. But yeah, this is what I mean by expressive. Like, she can say a lot without saying anything, and her expressions and body language that say everything you need to hear. Yeah. Let's say that. Let me see if I can find one that's probably like the best example of, like, say I say glory shot. Money shot. That's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of a money shot. Yeah, it's just not just that. I mean, it's like also there's even texture to it. There's even some texture to the clothing. It's just, yeah. I don't know if the guy, the mangaka for this, Shiro Miwa, that's his name. The guy's just got some really good art. Like, alright, and let's see if I can find a good example of an action scene. Like I said, that's really what sells a lot of this. Oh yeah, here we go. Like I said, a lot of good action, a lot of good choreography. You do not feel lost. You can follow flow of action very clearly. It's, man, about the only person I can think of off the top of my head who can coordinate action scenes this good would probably be Leandro. The Dan's artist for Adobe Kroger, like Leandro is about as good as Shiro Miwa. And when it comes to coordinating action scenes and everything else, like, oh man, there's even more I can probably find. Like, it's just they're gorgeous. Like I said, this manga is absolutely gorgeous. Just you pick this up, it is definitely going to be a feast for your eyes. Nice. Now, you probably noticed this little box right here. So, yeah, this is not something. This is not for you younger readers out there. This is more or less an adult. This is more or less a mature title. And it definitely falls within seinen manga. You know, manga, there's some very graphic violence. You guys probably caught a glimpse of Ain taking a bite out of a guy's cheek. I tried not to linger on that too long, but yeah, you are going to see stuff like that. It's not very bloody or gory, but it's just more graphic in its violence, which I think is definitely in keeping with the tone it's going for. So it's kind of one of those mangas that it knows what it's trying to be. It's not pretending it's deep. It's not pretending it's gonna change your life or anything. It's just it wants to be a violent action movie, basically. Movie with some really cool characters and awesome action scenes. Pretty much, it's a manga that achieves everything it sets out to do, and and it does them extremely well. Like, definitely a manga you want to get a look at if you want to learn how to do cool character designs, and want to learn how to do action scenes. Seems like it's a good thing to start with. I would definitely recommend reading Dogs, Bulls, and Carnage if those are things you want in your manga. I would also definitely recommend it to people who like stuff of like dystopias, gangsters, mutants. It's just, yeah, I really love this manga. I love it a lot. It's probably one of my favorites, I would have to say. And like I said, it's that 1 out of 10 where you can say it's style over substance and you mean it as a compliment. Because the manga itself is just so stylish. And I think that's pretty much all I've got left to say.